Gorod, Krovi, based in the once beautiful city of Stalingrad, now lies rubble and destruction of a battlefield. One that I'm sure is not very safe. So that is exactly what we are here to do today, as we go through the streets of Stalingrad and try to figure out how safe Gorod Krovi actually is. Welcome to Safety Check. Okay, we are here in Stalingrad, aka Gorod Krovi, and the city has seen better days. That is a definite. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's go through the low tier risks first and see exactly where we are in terms of safety. So the first one I'm going to talk about is equipment. Now, there's a lot of equipment, for example, all around here. That is all in water. Not ideal. Doesn't look great. But then, you come to areas like the armory and you start to see lots of ammunitions, lots of shells, lots of guns just stored around. Out in the open now pretty much because of all the destruction. Not good. I mean, look at these shelves. They're just stored on the side here. That one's fallen over on itself. This could all be quite a big risk. And of course, you can come over to the supply depot and there's just more of it everywhere. I mean, I know this probably was stored quite well at one point, but it's not anymore. And for that reason, it is going to get a 70 out of 100. The next one I want to discuss is definitely a lot worse than the equipment. Because if you look on the floor, everywhere is a tripping hazard. And when I say everywhere, I mean literally everywhere. I mean, look at the state of this place. Uneven surfaces, rubble everywhere. I mean, you kind of expect it because, all the buildings have been destroyed. But it's not good whatsoever. I could trip over a number of things on this map, without a doubt. And it's actually going to go really low because of that. And it is going to get a 40 out of 100. Next up on the list, we're going to go to hygiene. And hygiene is awful on this map, I will admit. It's not looking good whatsoever. As you can see, all the blood everywhere on the floors doesn't give it a good start. Then if you come to the other side in a little makeshift hospital, you can see all the bodies that are just piled up in the corner. Not great. Alongside all of the bodies that are everywhere, just all on the beds. There are so many bodies, it is honestly ridiculous. It's hard to count. I mean, even in the spawn, when you first spawn in, you're greeted with corpses just burnt up everywhere. Blood everywhere. Corpses. I mean, look at this, guys. This is not good at all. So hygiene is really bad on this map, and for that reason, it is going to get a 30. I think that's the lowest a low tier risk has ever got. But moving on from that, we are going to talk about the shrapnel. Now, there's lots of broken doors like this one here and this one over here, where all the glass has been shattered out of it, and therefore it's all over the floor. And this applies to a lot of things. I mean, look at all the glass here just shattered over. I mean, everything is made out of glass, it seems, around here, and it's all shattered. It's not a good sign. And for that reason, it is going to get a 60 out of 100. So we have one more low tier risk on this map, and it's actually low tier burns. And I'm talking about these little fires like this here on the floor. Little ones that aren't going to cause too much hassle, but could still hurt you. And there are more here, for example, again in spawn. Not looking very good, but there's definitely low tier burns around that could hurt you. I mean, this whole map's on fire. So yeah, not good. And for that reason, low tier burns is going to get a 60 out of 100. Okay, moving on to the medium tier risk. And the first one I'm going to talk about is actually electrocution, which might be a bit shocking, no pun intended, for this map, but it's still a risk. For example, look at all the electricity just sparking around here. You have to walk through this, remember. That doesn't look safe. Or for example, over here, ignore the sounds just staring at you. Look at all the electricity just vibing around her. Not great. And that's without all the cables that are just hanging everywhere. Also not a good sign that it is a safe map. For that reason, it is going to get a 40 out of 100. So the next one I want to talk about is going to be falling. Now, a lot of it's not too bad because a lot of it's on the ground. But there are spaces that you can fall from. Like, for example, there's a big gap in the stairs here which you could fall down. That could cause some damage. Or, for example, you could fall off here. Not ideal. Or, remember, you can fly dragons in this. You can fall off a dragon. That would definitely cause some damage. So yeah, it's got to be on there, and it's going to get a 50 out of 100. Now, we've discussed low tier burns, and we do need to discuss the high tier burns, because there's a lot of fire on this map. Like, everywhere I look is just fire. You can't avoid it, man. I think it's safe to say that the fire on this map is definitely an issue, and for that reason it is going to get a 30 out of 100. Now that we've discussed the fire risks, let's talk about the vehicle risks on this map. For example, lots of tanks that are on fire around the map. 3 of them here, very good example. These could all be quite a big risk, especially since they're on fire. Alongside this, you do also have vehicles inside, and we're just storing stuff on them now as well. That could be another risk in itself. It ain't good. And then back in spawn, we also have a plane that's in pieces and a bus, I believe. So yeah, there's some vehicles that could be a risk on this map, and for that reason it is going to get a 50 out of 100. Alright, we have one final medium tier risk to discuss, and if you haven't figured out already, it's the building stability. Now, I don't think I need to say much about this. This place has been absolutely decimated by the giant robots fighting and the dragons. It's a mixture of lethal forces that has brought this city to rubble, like real bad. So I'm not going to go much further now, because I don't feel like I need to justify it anymore as he stares at a massive hole in the ceiling. So on that note, building stability is going to get a 30 out of 100. But now we can actually move on to the high tier risks. And speaking of building stability, with it being as fragile as it is right now, a lot of the ceilings or walls could fall in on themselves and collapse, causing a potential chance of us being crushed. And when I say potential, I mean quite high, because like I said, these buildings are not in good shape. So it's going to get quite low, and it's going to get a 5 out of 100. Moving on from that though, the next one is going to be explosions. Now, I said earlier about all of the ammo and shells and guns, etc. like this. All of these could be a risk and could explode at any time. A stray bullet or anything like that, and one of those shells could go up like a firework. So I am going to put them on the list, and they are going to get a 20 out of 100. Now we have 2 more high tier risks to talk about, and the next one I want to mention is impaling. From all of the chaos has caused building damage, which has ended up causing sharp objects that you can catch yourself on, like all of these for example. On top of that, we do actually have these sharp fence rails that are going to cause some damage, and you know, lots of barbed wire and lots of spiked edges of wood again, which could cause a fair bit of issue. So we are going to give it a 20 out of 100. And last but not least, our final high tier risk of the map is drowning. Now you might think, like, where the hell am I going to find water here? Well, like we mentioned earlier in the operations bunker, it's all underwater. Well, it's not all underwater, but it's all like, you know, flooded. So in theory, you could drown here. And if you're really trying, you could probably also drown here, which I wouldn't recommend trying, but these guys definitely could have possibly died that way. So yeah, it is going to be taken into consideration, and it is going to get a 30 out of 100. Okay, now that we have gone through all the high tier risks, we can go through the miscellaneous risks. And the first one I'm going to talk about are the robots. Now, we know Nikolai pilots one, but then obviously someone else has been piloting them as well. Because look, one's just crashed into the building there. That building could come down at any point because of that. One's just crashed here. You know, these things could still be operational around fighting the dragons. And they could also just like move and fall on us and crush us. There's plenty of possibilities of something happening. So I am going to put them in there, and it is going to get a 50 out of 100. Right on cue, here is another big safety risk of ours. These bad boy dragons just coming down and bloody flaming all over the map. No consideration for me whatsoever. And there's a lot of these guys just flying around causing chaos. And on top of that, don't forget that we can actually summon dragons to come over and let them fly us around. Like, this is normal. Like, why am I on a dragon right now? And can I just say, does that platform look safe to you? I'm just standing on the back of a dragon, holding on to a rail bar. I should not be on the back of this right now. There is no safety in place. I haven't even got a seatbelt, for Christ's sake. And I'm just flying on the back of it like it's nothing, whilst I've got shells being shot at me and whatnot. But yeah, this is totally fine, sure, whatever. As I also just get thrown off it as well. But let's be honest, that is not safe. And dragons are not safe. And for that reason, it is going to get a 10 out of 100. On another note for drowning as well, we have to go through that underwater goddamn slide-like thing for over a minute, it seems like. That is another bad thing about drowning on this map, which I didn't think about before. Now, the last risk I want to talk about, as you can see, are these bad boys. The Valkyrie drones of the map. I am not a fan of these guys whatsoever. They just bloody sit there flying around, electrocuting you to pieces with those smug arms and that one big eye in the middle. I do not like these things. These things are the bane of my existence. Don't like them whatsoever. Luckily they're not too hard to deal with, but they are a pain in the backside. I mean, little flying robots going around electrocuting you, not great. And for that reason, I am going to give Valkyrie drones a 50 out of 100. But that is all of the risks for this map, and now we can look at the safety features. Now we only have one safety feature this time around, and it is the railing. This is probably one of the most perfect railing conditions I've ever seen in a map. Like, all of the railings around just seem to be in top shape and in good condition. Whether you're crossing bridges or going upstairs, they're all in good shape. And for that reason, it is going to get a plus 2.5. But with that said and done, that is the end of all of the risks and safety features of the map. Now, just to recap, we had equipment with a rating of 70, tripping hazards with a rating of 40, hygiene with a rating of 30, shrapnel with a rating of 60, latent burns with a rating of 60, electrocution with a rating of 40, falling with a rating of 50, high-grade burns with a rating of 30, vehicles with a rating of 50, building stability with a rating of 30, being crushed with a rating of 5, explosions with a rating of 20, paling with a rating of 20, drowning with a rating of 30, robots with a rating of 50, the Valkyrie drones with a rating of 50, and the dragons with a rating of 10. Now, when you put all of these scores together, you do get a grand total of 37 out of 100. But you do have to bear in mind that there are definitely over 5 high tier risks on this map. A high tier risk being categorized as anything that has a 30 rating or lower. On top of that, we have 17 risks, which is above the 10 threshold for another minus 5 points. But of course, we do have the safety railings as a safety feature on this map, which does give it a plus 2.5. So when you put all of these scores together, you get a grand total ranking of 29.5 out of 100. And let's be honest, I am not surprised in the slightest that this map has got such a low ranking. I mean, look at the state of it. I don't think I need to say much more. And when you look at the tier list for where this actually ranks in terms of safety rating, Gorod Krovi actually sits in the shut it down category, surprise surprise, and it does fit in between Mob of the Dead and Eisendrach, beating Mob of the Dead by only 0.5 of a rating. But with that said and done, that is everything for today's video. Now, next up, we have the final map of Black Ops 3, which is, of course, Revelations. Now, I personally don't think that map is going to be one of the more dangerous ones we've seen. I think, compared to most, it will be fairly safe. Now, I'm not saying it will be safe. Compared to some of the maps we have had, I think it will be a lot better. Also, shout out to Platinum2316 for the closest score on Gorod Krovi, suggesting it would get a 30 out of 100. Only 0.5 of a rating off the actual final score, so not bad at all, a great guess. And if you want to be featured in the next video, how safe do you think Revelations is going to be? Leave a comment down below with the score you would give Revelation out of 100. But with that said and done, if you have enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. It is greatly appreciated. All of your support goes a long way. Now, I need to get out of here before I get barbecued by a dragon or squashed by Nikolai while he's drinking. Either way is not a way I want to perish. So I'm going to get the hell out of here. And before I leave, I just want to say, stay safe.